says, be kind to all. Pastor Dan doesn't sound like he's being too kind to atheists. Okay, now I just wanted to break down that first paragraph. By the way, everybody's going to get a chance to speak. I'm going to continue moving on. I'm not going to break it down. Atheists should actually be afraid of nothing. That is to say, atheists should fear the faulty assumption that nothing produced space-time, matter, and energy at the beginning. This blind faith is rooted in a preposterous make-believe theory without a shred of scientific evidence to support its impossible conclusion. Well, hey, Pastor Dan, when was the last time there was a scientific experiment that either proved or disproved the existence of God? You're going to be scratching your head for a long while. You know why? Because it's never happened. There is no scientific experiment that proves that God exists, right? And to be perfectly frank, because I don't want to be called a hypocrite, there hasn't been a scientific experiment that disproves God exists, that disproves God exists. Lee Strobel posted in 2017, to continue in atheism, I would need to believe that nothing produces everything, non-life produces life, randomness produces fine-tuning, chaos produces information, unconsciousness produces consciousness, and non-reason produces I simply didn't. Please. If an atheist follows the evidence, he or she can meet the only true God, John 17:3. But when atheists dig in their heels and continue trusting in their illogical ideology, they remain spiritually blind. Sadly, a man with his free will can choose to close his mind to the truth he was created to understand and accept. Boy, if there are any philosophers in the room, I bet you guys are just chomping at the bit. And again, I've had my problems with philosophers, but I see illogical fallacies all over Pastor Dan. When an atheist faces a family crisis, he has nothing to rely upon for spiritual comfort. When atheists become disillusioned, there is nothing substantive to pull them out of a pit of discouragement. And when atheists stand before Jesus Christ on Judgment Day, they will have nothing good to say about why they rejected God. John Noyes is a pastor, radio host, and Christian apologist. But when John was an atheist, he wrestled with various questions. Where did everything come from? Why is there something rather than nothing? His naturalistic worldview could not explain all the wonders of creation that were evident to him. Perhaps you can relate to John. You might even be at the same place he found himself years ago. If so, I highly encourage you to develop a fear of nothing. That is, start to become afraid that you might be wrong in your unreasonable assumptions that something came from nothing. Even if you feel like you have nothing to lose by denying God's existence, I assure you, my friend, that you have far more to lose than you can even fathom. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, Proverbs 9:10. Without this holy fear, you'll remain convinced that you will never be held accountable to your Creator. And since you believe in nothing supernatural, you wrongly assume there will be no eternal accountability or eternal justice. The fear of the Lord wakes a person up to the reality of God, sin, forgiveness, heaven, and hell. Without the fear of the Lord, a person lives in denial. Jesus said, "Do not be afraid of those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. Rather,